again, meteorologist Scott Withers.
The Great Salt Lake is at a crossroad. Historic drought, overuse of water, and a history of mismanagement. In just a moment, I'll tell you what's changing. But first, let's get back to Israel, where Fox 13's Ben Winslow traveled with the Great Salt Lake Collaborative to learn lessons and bring them back home.
No question is a stupid question.
A group of Utah Mormon Republican lawmakers walk into a Jewish socialist kibbutz in Israel's Negev desert.
Kibbutz.
It's not a joke. They went there to learn
What
about agriculture.
Elder Apostle Gabar was telling us about in the lesson.
Making the world a better place. And it's a very basic Jewish value.
A kibbutz is a sort of cooperative where many things are shared. Jared White serves on the regional council of his kibbutz.
You have to put in
The
everything
kibbutz.
you can, and you only take out what you need. There's
Kibbutz.
about 270 kibbutz.
They've
still left in
proof.
Israel. We're one of the last
They over there
kibbutz in
planting.
this
They've been
socialism,
planting.
in that sense, a socialism
Let them
style
tell on
kibbutz,
themselves.
where we don't ever see my paycheck and I don't own my house.
We are trying to help our farmers to be in applied science and to be more profitable. And this is
It's
the
from
connection between the R&D
ball
station,
fall, the ball
the
foul,
farmers,
the ball
and
fall
academia
lesson.
and even industry.
But they're involved in a lot of agricultural research, which is intriguing this delegation from Utah.
Don't pick. I will
The
tell you
ball
where you
fall,
can pick.
yeah, ball
These are
fall.
Like growing strawberries in the desert. The plants are all closely monitored to learn how best to grow a berry
Y'all
in
ain't
such
the people.
hostile terrain.
It is one of many experiments that we're doing in order to find
The trees, when the
water
true
more than
people
once.
show
This is a totally
back
different
up
way
in
of
Israel,
growing strawberries. Obviously, it
we'll be
uses less
flourishingly
water, but
happy
it still yields the same
at our
result.
presence. These ain't the people. See, you got
Delicious.
growing their own trees, got their own
that they have in Israel. They're advanced in some
agriculture
aspects of agriculture, more
system.
advanced than we are here.
They're also growing vegetables vertically. It uses a lot
No
less
jive
space and a
turkeys.
lot less water.
In these days, they're growing many varieties for many, and the market developed in Israel. The food market developed, the customer. So labor, one of the biggest issues in agriculture in Israel. So first, we're
There's
developing
no nations flowing to you guys. Matter of fact, y'all still getting bombarded.
cutting in June.
People still bombing y'all over there.
I would not say no irrigation, but I would say
Well, Egypt bombed y'all back in 48, you know, just to introduce themselves.
Institutes are looking at new breeds of crops that use less water.
We have the experimental viña.
Ways to grow wine grapes in the desert.
Something like 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago,
Nah, this ain't no kingdom food.
they came up with the idea of an egg house.
These ain't kingdom people. They kingdom slaves.
And temperature control.
You guys are most definitely
Good data, good science, and
going into
integrated into the farmer's
captivity.
field.
You want to work, you're going to work, all right.
In Israel, sprinkler systems to water plants. Like Utah, Israel's top water user is agriculture. It's a large part of their food supply. But in addition to using wastewater for crops, Israel also relies on drip irrigation. It's used everywhere, from flower bed to crops. Yes, Israel also grows alfalfa, but it's watered differently.
They actually plant alfalfa
You don't say.
with a subsurface drip irrigation system. So all of the irrigation water that goes on their alfalfa is under the surface. So there's no evapotranspiration at all.
Netafim is an Israeli company that makes drip irrigation systems, both above ground and below ground. They've created ways to maximize water savings, and they say their systems can help agriculture producers use up to 50% less water.
Drip irrigation is the technology that can make the difference in agriculture between what you're doing today versus what you can do if you do adopt drip.
Representative Casey Snyder says it's something Utah should look to implement.
As I look at water in our state, how we use water in our state, that technology, if I bring home nothing else, is something I think we've got to integrate more into our state.
Join me now, Joel Ferry, Executive Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
It's important for people to realize that just because we've got this record snowpack, record snowmelt, reservoirs are filling to the brim, that's not going to cause this to be over, that this problem ends this year.
That's right. The choices that we make today still have an impact in the future. One good year doesn't mean the problem's solved. It helps us. It takes the edge off. It gets us down the road some. But we still have to continue to make those hard decisions and change the way we live our lives. We've got to be conservation focused. We've got to be water wise. We've got to be smart about how we use water here in the state of Utah and in the West. Water is a precious commodity, and we need to treat it as such.
So we see the cycle changing for precipitation. It goes up and it comes down. But with climate change, we're seeing warmer temperatures. Is that also playing a big role out here on this lake?
It is. We've seen over time, the precipitation that we've received has been pretty constant. It's been on average, right? Ups and downs, but over time it's been average. The biggest change that we've seen is an increasing temperature that increases evaporation, it increases consumption by plants, and it basically makes our soils arid, right? It dries out our soils. So nature, it takes more water to get these. When the mountains start melting, right, the snowpack starts melting, more water has to get down to fill the reservoirs. And that, I think, is probably from the natural side, that's the biggest impact, is these increasing temperatures.
Last year, the marina was empty. First time in history. There's water there now. That's great news.
It's fantastic news.
Do you think we could go back, though, to a situation in the future years where there's no water there again?
I mean, put it in perspective, where the lake is today, the lake was, even though we're up 4 feet from our low just last October, November, we're only, we're still at quote-unquote record level lows. It's not like we're out of the woods, even on Gray Salt Lake. And so, yes, we could easily go back. It would only take 2 years of 2021, 2022, those types of summers and snowpacks, we'd be right back where we were.
So at the end, human usage has got to change.
It does. And we have to be smart about how we use this water. We've as a state, we've made significant investment. We've got programs to help agriculture we call it ag optimization, to use less water but still grow the same amount of crops. And if we do those types of things, it's metering our water systems. We did a big program for meters within our cities, turf buyback, water-wise landscaping, agriculture optimization. All of these different things all add up to reduce human consumption.
More Ben's reporting is coming up, including how Israel is changing salt water into drinking water and how much people there are willing to pay for their water.
Looking to rent a home or apartment this spring, chances are you'll be asked to pay an apartment application fee. But before you do, find out what happens if you don't get the apartment. Mackenzie and Eric Willett have finally found a new apartment, but they're bitter after losing nearly $400 in application fees at the complex they really wanted.
It said that it was going to be $80 per adult for the application fee, plus $220, so the total came to $380.
$380 sounded steep, but desperate and with a new baby, the Willets paid it, only to learn
they told us that our application was denied due to something being in our credit history.
Even worse news, the complex was keeping the $380.
I was under the understanding that it was going to be refundable.
Claire Trapasso with Realtor.com says application fees are the new norm for renters and even condo buyers to help landlords determine your eligibility.
Often that's for a credit check or for some of the work they're doing in the back office to get that apartment ready.
Whether you get that money back varies from city to city. A handful of states have fee regulations or caps in place, but others have no limits at all. Claire says once you pay a fee,
it never hurts to ask to get a refund, especially if you don't get the place.
But she says it's very unlikely you'll see that money again. Some red flags to avoid when looking for a new place: landlords charging a fee just to view an apartment. And you should never be charged a fee if there are no units available, so ask in advance. We visited the complex that denied the Willets, where a manager pointed us to their website. There it says all application fees are not refundable for any reason. Mackenzie feels that's unfair.
Having a new baby, covering all the expenses.
So ask questions before you sign the application so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
Collaborative, which is a group of newsrooms working together to cover the lake and find solutions. Let's learn more about this amazing lake. Now one better to tell us about it than Brian Steed from Utah State University. Thanks for stopping by, Brian.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Okay, let's look at this lake. How far has this dropped?
Quite a ways, actually. And if you look about where average might be, it might be as much as 9 feet down from average right now.
Okay, time winding down.
Melt. That's not going to be enough
15
to
seconds.
Oh, no. And I would say this. As I said before, we're down a substantial number of feet from where
it's in the closing portion of the show anyway.
And then given where we'll get, it's awesome news. We'll take it, but it's not really going to fix the problem because those structural things